In the mystical kingdom of Riverna, Queen Tasha ruled with grace and magic, but danger lurked close to her throne. Her jealous brother, consumed by envy, vowed to eliminate her unborn heir and seize the crown for himself. Sensing the threat, the queen knew she needed help, not from the ocean, but from the human world. And that's how Cordelia, a simple young woman with a kind heart, became part of a story that would change her life forever. A story of sacrifice, betrayal, love, and an unforgettable promise. You don't want to miss this, stay tuned. Once upon a time, in the Riverna kingdom of the ocean, Queen Tasha ruled with grace and power. She possessed magical abilities, for it was said that every royal born in Riverna inherited magical powers. Despite her strength, Queen Tasha was a peaceful and kind ruler, deeply loved by her loyal subjects, all except her younger brother, Prince Ben. Prince Ben was consumed by jealousy. He could not stand to see his sister on the throne. "I am not happy," he often muttered to himself. "I should be the king of this great kingdom, not my sister. I am a man, and men are born to rule. If only I could dethrone her and claim the throne for myself." One day, unable to keep his feelings bottled up any longer, Prince Ben went to see Queen Tasha, who was heavily pregnant at the time. "Tasha, I need to speak with you," he said. "Go ahead, my brother, what is it?" Queen Tasha replied warmly. "I want you to step down," he said boldly. "Let me take over the throne as a man. This kingdom needs a king, not a queen, not a woman." Queen Tasha looked at him calmly and answered, "Ben, my brother, from the history of this great kingdom, no man has ever sat on this throne. After my reign, my daughter will succeed me. It has been this way for ages." "And what if you give birth to a baby boy?" Ben challenged. "That is not possible," Tasha replied firmly. "Every firstborn child of every queen of Riverna has always been a girl. It has been so for generations." Hearing this only deepened Prince Ben's anger. His eyes narrowed and he hissed through clenched teeth. "I promise you, sister, if you give birth to a baby girl, I will eliminate her. Nothing will stop me from taking the throne from you." One bright morning, Queen Tasha called for the royal midwife. "After I give birth to my baby girl," she said in a low, serious tone, "you must hide her gender from my brother. Tell him I gave birth to a baby boy and that the boy did not survive." The midwife was shocked. "But my queen," she whispered, "why should you hide your baby's identity from your brother? What if he finds out later?" Queen Tasha's eyes hardened with determination. "Do as I have instructed," she replied firmly, "and leave the rest to me." The midwife bowed respectfully. "As you wish, my queen." Months passed, and at last, the day of the royal birth arrived. Queen Tasha gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. She cradled her daughter lovingly, whispering blessings into her tiny ears. But just as instructed, when Prince Ben came to hear the news, the midwife delivered the false story. "Your Highness," she announced solemnly, "the queen gave birth to a baby boy, but, sadly, he did not survive." Upon hearing this, Prince Ben smiled coldly, satisfied with the outcome. "At least there's no heir to threaten my claim," he muttered to himself. That evening, he even hosted a quiet celebration in his chambers, drinking and congratulating himself on what he believed was his impending rise to power. All the while, Queen Tasha held her daughter close, her heart set on protecting the child at all costs. Fearing for her daughter's safety, Queen Tasha secretly left the Riverna kingdom with her baby. She slipped into the river's depths and swam toward the human world. When she emerged from the water, she found herself in a small riverside village. At that moment, a young maiden was at the riverbank, filling her pot with water. The maiden gasped softly at the sight of Tasha, holding a baby in her arms. The maiden's name was Cordelia, a beautiful and kind-hearted girl. Cordelia had lost her mother years ago and lived with her father, Mr. Godson, who had refused to remarry after his wife's death. He poured his love and energy into raising Cordelia, determined to give her the best life possible. "One day," he often told her with pride, "you will make me proud." Cordelia was also deeply in love with her fiancé, Williams, a wealthy young businessman from the city. Williams and Cordelia shared a strong bond of love, and their families approved of their union. In fact, just days before, Williams and Cordelia's father had agreed that Williams would soon bring his family to formally pay Cordelia's bride price. As Cordelia stood by the river, watching Queen Tasha with wonder and curiosity, little did she know that her life was about to change forever, that this mysterious woman and her child carried a secret that would intertwine their fates. Cordelia stood dumbfounded as Queen Tasha walked closer, her presence graceful yet sorrowful. "My name is Tasha," the queen began, her voice calm but heavy with emotion. "I rule as queen in the Riverna kingdom, and this baby is the heir apparent to my throne. But my younger brother has sworn to eliminate her, to seize the throne for himself. Riverna is no longer safe for her, so I have brought her here, to the human world, in search of a kind-hearted soul to raise her until she comes of age." She gazed tenderly at the baby before adding, "Her name is Saraphina. She is the future queen of Riverna. Take her, raise her, and I shall reward you greatly." Queen Tasha then handed the baby over to Cordelia. Immediately after Queen Tasha handed the baby to Cordelia, something magical happened. Right before her eyes, the baby's shimmering mermaid tail vanished, and in its place appeared two tiny, perfect human legs. Cordelia gasped in shock, her eyes wide as she stared at the transformation. But Tasha only smiled gently and said, "As long as she is in the human world, she must look like humans." Cordelia looked down at the child and gasped softly. "She is so cute and adorable," she murmured. "I can't resist her. I will accept to raise her because she is so pretty. I just can't resist her beauty." But then, her brow furrowed with worry. "But what will I tell my fiancé? Williams and his family are coming in a few days to pay my bride price. What if he refuses to let me bring this baby into his house?" Queen Tasha gave her a faint smile, as though she had been expecting the question. "Accepting to raise my child comes with a condition," she said softly. "What condition?" Cordelia asked, her heart sinking. "If you accept to raise my child," Queen Tasha said firmly, "you must never marry. You will not live under one roof with a man unless that man is your relative." Cordelia's eyes widened, confusion and despair flooding her. "But why? I have a fiancé, and we love each other so much. Why this condition? I only wanted to help you raise your child. My father will be so disappointed if I don't marry Williams. He has always dreamed of having a wealthy son-in-law, and I want to have my own children too." "I am sorry," Tasha interrupted gently but firmly, "but the condition must be kept if you truly want to help me. If you cannot, I will take my child back and face my fate." Cordelia stared at the baby in her arms again. She felt her heart melt. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "I will raise her. She's so cute, and I'm already loving her." Queen Tasha's eyes softened as she placed a hand on Cordelia's shoulder. "Thank you," she said warmly. "I promise you, you will never regret this day. My daughter will be your child. She will give you grandchildren when the time is right." But Cordelia was surprised. "But you said Saraphina will return back to Riverna when she's of age. How will she give me grandchildren?" she asked. "Don't worry. When the time comes, it will happen." With that, Queen Tasha turned back toward the river. The waters shimmered and rose up as though welcoming her home. She cast one last look at Cordelia and her baby before disappearing beneath the waves, leaving Cordelia alone on the riverbank with little Saraphina in her arms. Her life forever changed. When Cordelia returned home with the baby in her arms, her father was shocked to see them. "Who owns the baby you are carrying?" he demanded sternly. Cordelia lowered her eyes and replied, "I saw the baby by the riverside. She was helpless and abandoned, so I decided to take her with me." But her father was not pleased. "Return the baby to wherever you picked her from," he said angrily. "Please, father, let me keep her. She has no one else, please." After a long silence, her father sighed and said, "If Williams, my son-in-law-to-be, will accept to marry you with the baby, then I have no problem. But if not, you must return her." The next day, Williams visited as usual. The moment he saw the baby in Cordelia's arms, his face darkened. "Who owns that baby?" he asked coldly. Cordelia repeated what she had told her father. "I picked her by the riverside. She was helpless, so I brought her home." Williams clenched his fists in anger. "Why would you pick up a strange baby? What if her parents are looking for her? What if the police come for her? Please, return that baby if you care about this marriage working." But Cordelia refused. Whenever she looked into Saraphina's innocent eyes, her heart melted. She would smile softly and whisper, "Saraphina, you are so cute. You are too beautiful to be rejected. I love you, and you will grow to call me mother." The following day, Williams returned, hoping she had come to her senses. But when he saw Saraphina still there, his anger boiled over. "Since you don't want to listen to me," he snapped, "then this relationship is over." He stormed over to Mr. Godson and said, "I will no longer be coming with my people. Your daughter has chosen the strange baby over me, and I can never allow her to bring a child whose parents I don't know into my house. I am done with her." Mr. Godson was stunned. He begged Williams to calm down, but Williams ignored him, climbed into his car, and drove away. Mr. Godson turned his anger on Cordelia. "After all my sacrifices, after losing your mother when you were only 10, after refusing to marry another woman, just to give you the best, this is how you repay me? You have chased away my rich in-law-to-be because of a strange baby?" He threw her clothes out of the house, shouting, "You must leave my house at once, and take that baby with you." Cordelia wept bitterly and fell to her knees pleading with him, but the more she pleaded, the angrier he became. Seeing no other choice, she gathered her clothes into a sack bag, picked up Saraphina, and stepped out of the house, into the unknown, with only tears in her eyes and faith in her heart. With nowhere else to go, Cordelia wandered aimlessly until she stopped beside a thick bush on the outskirts of the village. She gathered dry wood, sticks and leaves, and with her bare hands she built a small, rough hut where she could shelter with Saraphina. That night, as she held the baby in her arms, she wept quietly and whispered, "What will I do now? How will I survive with this baby? How am I going to provide for her? I think I will carry her and go to the market to beg, because there's nothing else I can do right now." The next morning, she wrapped Saraphina in a cloth, tied her to her back, and went to the village market. Swallowing her pride, she began begging from stall to stall, asking strangers for food or money. Back in Riverna, Queen Tasha stood before her magical mirror, watching everything unfold. Tears streamed down her face as she watched Cordelia, tired and humiliated, stretching out her hand for help while cradling Saraphina. "You are going through all this," Tasha whispered sadly, "all because you wanted to help me, to save my child from my brother's wickedness. You lost the place you called home, your father's love, your fiancé. You have reduced yourself to a beggar, all because of me." Her expression hardened with resolve, and she placed her hand on the mirror. "For that," she vowed, You shall be blessed beyond your expectations." That evening, Cordelia returned to her little hut, exhausted. But as she stepped inside, her eyes widened in shock. On the floor lay a large bag, overflowing with gold coins and crisp notes. She froze, staring at it in disbelief. How? How did this get here? She wondered aloud. But then she looked down at Saraphina, who lay cooing and smiling innocently in her arms, and her heart softened. Maybe this is a blessing from Saraphina's mother, Queen Tasha, Cordelia thought, a smile finally forming on her tired face. Hugging the bag to her chest, she whispered, thank you so much." And for the first time in days, hope flickered in Cordelia's heart as she imagined a better life for herself and the little princess she had grown to love like her own. The next day, Cordelia packed what little she had and left the small hut behind, determined to start over. She relocated to another town, far from those who had rejected her. With a bag of gold and money she had received, which, to her surprise, seemed to multiply every day, she bought a beautiful new mansion in a quiet neighborhood. Soon after, she opened a luxury boutique in the town's busiest street, selling fine clothes, shoes, and jewelry. The boutique quickly became the most popular in town, and Cordelia's wealth kept increasing beyond her imagination. She bought 2 sleek luxury cars and hired staffs to help her run the boutique. Her hard work and kind heart earned her respect in her new community. Meanwhile, Saraphina began to grow into a beautiful little girl, full of life and charm. She started making friends in the neighborhood, and among her closest companions were 2 girls her age, Sandra and Celine. Sandra was the only child of her loving parents. Celine, on the other hand, was an orphan. She lived with her cruel stepmother, who often mistreated her and made her do all the chores at home. Despite her hardships, Celine was gentle and kind, and she quickly became attached to Saraphina, who treated her like a sister. The 3 girls became inseparable, spending their days playing, laughing, and sharing their dreams of the future, though none of them knew that Saraphina's future carried a magical destiny beyond anything they could imagine. One quiet afternoon, Cordelia sat alone in her mansion, deep in thought. Her mind wandered back to her father, the man who raised her single-handedly after her mother died. He refused to remarry because of the deep love he had for his late wife and his determination to give Cordelia the best life he could. "I forgive my father," she whispered to herself, tears gathering in her eyes. "He only sent me away because he believed I disappointed him by refusing to marry Williams. He thought my marriage with Williams would bring light into our family. Little did he know that my kind gesture toward a mermaid would turn me into a billionaire. He meant no harm. I forgive him." The next day, she made up her mind to see him. When she arrived at his modest home, her father was shocked to see her, and then overwhelmed with joy to see his only child standing at his door. He embraced her tightly, his voice trembling as he said, "I am so sorry, my child, for sending you away. I thought I was doing the best for you, but I see now that I was wrong. Please forgive me." Cordelia smiled softly, tears in her eyes. "It's okay, Father. I understand, and I forgive you. That is why I came." They sat together and talked for hours, catching up on all they had missed. Then, Cordelia made a surprising announcement. "Father," she said warmly, "I want to build you a house, a big and beautiful house. You are the best father in the world, and I want you to find a wife for yourself. You deserve happiness. I will sponsor your wedding." Her father was stunned, then overjoyed. He held her hands and blessed her repeatedly, thanking her for her kindness and forgiving heart. Within a few weeks, he met a kind woman who became his wife. Cordelia sponsored the entire wedding, sparing no expense, and even gave her father a huge sum of money to start a new life with his bride. A few months later, she fulfilled her promise completely, by building him a beautiful duplex, a shining symbol of love, forgiveness, and the blessings that come from doing good. Her father was proud of her beyond words, and Cordelia felt at peace, knowing she had healed the bond with the man who once doubted her. Saraphina always pitied Celine, seeing how her stepmother constantly mistreated her. Many times, Saraphina would secretly take Celine aside, giving her food, clothes, and even a little money to help her through her struggles. She always found ways to make Celine smile, saying kind and encouraging words that warmed her friend's heart. As for Saraphina herself, she lacked nothing. Her mother, Cordelia, had become a billionaire through her ever-growing wealth. Their home was filled with peace, harmony, and love. But everything changed on the morning of Saraphina's 18th birthday. That morning she woke up excited, ready to embrace adulthood. But when she stood in front of her bedroom mirror, she froze. Her reflection stared back at her, but her eyes had turned a brilliant, glowing pink. Her heart raced. "What is this? My eyes have turned pink," she whispered to herself, shocked and confused. She quickly ran downstairs to the kitchen, where Cordelia was humming softly while cooking. "Mummy!" Saraphina called, almost breathless. "I woke up this morning, and my eyes, they have turned pink." Cordelia turned around, her hands still holding a wooden spoon, and her eyes widened in surprise. For a moment, her mind flashed back to that day by the river, the promise she made, and the true identity of the baby she had raised as her own. But she quickly masked her emotions and forced a calm smile. "Wow, your eyes turned pink," Cordelia said evenly, stepping closer to her daughter. "The pink eyes. They make you even more beautiful, my darling, and they make you more special." Saraphina blinked at her mother, confused but slightly reassured by her calm tone. "But what does it mean, Mummy?" she asked softly. Cordelia held her gaze for a moment and said with quiet conviction, "It only means you are becoming the amazing woman you were meant to be. Trust me, everything will be all right." But deep down, Cordelia knew this was no ordinary change. Saraphina's true nature, as the heir to the magical throne of Riverna, was beginning to reveal itself, and soon nothing would ever be the same again.